Before their current limit of 5,000 friends, there was one user who had over 200,000. How many friends do you have? And how many people are you just friendly with? There's certainly nothing wrong with being friendly. In fact, being kind and friendly can build friendships. But friendliness can be a kind of superficial solidarity. Just because you're friendly and others are friendly to you doesn't mean that you have friends. A man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Even the people that we call friends may sometimes not be true friends. As parents, I'm sure that many of you have had concerns about your children making friends or having true friends as they're growing up. Maybe you even thought before with a friend that your son or daughter has that maybe they're not friends for the right reason. It's amazing how we as adults abandon this same concern when we think about our own friendships. Are they a true friend? Am I a true friend? It's true that we're friends for a variety of reasons. Sometimes we're friends because we share the same interests. Men talk about sports and build camaraderie and are generally friendly. Sometimes we're friends with someone because they're helpful. That neighbor across the street is pretty convenient. They can look over your house when you're away. Or like in the drama, those men could share tools. Those kinds of friendships are helpful. But there is a reason for friendship that exists beyond any selfish motives. Early Christians really took a hold of this. They recognized that genuine and authentic friendship motivated them to be more like Christ. Much like there are expectations for a healthy marriage, early Christians felt like there were expectations for healthy friendships. Many of us recognize the benefit of marriage counseling, but would any of us consider friendship counseling? If a counselor took a look at the relationships that you have with your friends, what would be his findings? Would he observe that you're certainly friendly to a lot of people, but that you have few or no friends? The people that call you friends are just your friends that you use and ask favors of? Or would he find that you're over-dependent on your family for friendship? Or you tax your spouse for friendship because you're so desperate for it? Or do you find that you have a few friends that you share a common interest with, and you think that talking about sports or shopping or your complaints or tools is all the talk you really need for a friendship? Beyond doing the typical things that friends should do in order to stay friends, like spending time together, the early Christians felt that friends should prove their affection by their actions, remaining loyal, especially in times of great difficulty, and that friends should share a commitment to moral improvement, usually by means of encouraging one another or advising each other or even getting on each other's case if it was for the other's good. They were essentially bringing to light God's purpose and perfect will in their lives. That's what they believed friendship was designed for. Today, we rarely build friendships based on the goal of glorifying God and exploring our purpose in Him. We get together for causes that we support, sports that we like to watch, book clubs, and shared desires to try to lose weight. Carolyn White, a professor of classics at the University of Oxford, writes that what really distinguished the early Christian view of friendship was its focus on God, and the belief that such a shared focus brought friends together, and indeed brought all Christians who were committed to God together. So this would mean that all those who love God are in a sense united as friends. But this sounds kind of superficial. How could we be friends with everyone who loves God? It isn't practical to be real friends with so many. That's true. But we can try. Try being more authentic when your friendly church attitude takes over and you ask someone how they're doing and you don't take the time to actually listen to their answer. You could try to have a real conversation about something that really means something with a friend once in a while. Maybe even about God. One day we're going to be perfectly united in God's love together, where there are no limits to friendship or intimacy. Don't let that be the day that you first start making friendships. Until then, we should work as the first Christians worked, as described in the book of Acts. In Acts chapter 4, verses 32 through 35, we have this description. All the believers were in one heart and mind. No one claimed that any of his possessions was his own, but they shared everything they had. With great power, the apostles continued to testify to the resurrection of the Lord Jesus, and much grace was upon them all. There were no needy persons among them, for from time to time those who owned lands or houses sold them, brought the money from the sales, and put it at the apostles' feet, and it was distributed to anyone who had need. There are a lot of great biblical examples of friendships. There's Ruth and Naomi, David and Jonathan, Jesus and the beloved disciple, and Paul and Timothy. But it's through Jesus' life and sacrifice we are made friends with God. That is a daunting thought for imperfect beings like us. But in order to learn more about Jesus' love for us, I want us to take a look at a parable that's found in the Gospel of John. It's the parable of the Good Shepherd. It's found in chapter 10, and we're going to start in verse 1. John chapter 10, verse 1. That's page 759 in the Pew Bible. Verse 1. I tell you the truth. The man who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way, is a thief and a robber. The man who enters by the gate is the shepherd of his sheep. The watchman opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize a stranger's voice. I love the next verse because John throws in this little interjection and is basically explaining those who were listening that day were a little thick. Were a little bit foggy that day, and they didn't quite get it, and so Jesus is going to break it down for them. He's going to basically tell the parable again and tell them exactly what it means. So if you missed it the first time, here we go. Jesus is going to tell us exactly what he means, and he's very direct. I tell you the truth. I am the gate for the sheep. All who ever came before me were thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them.